My name's Troy Lancaster, I'm 26, and I work the midnight shift at the 7-Eleven off exit 19 on I-40, just outside Knoxville. Some nights are slow, just the hum of the espresso machine, the hum of fluorescent lights and the quiet roar of traffic passing by. Other nights feel off. That Sunday started deceptively normal. I arrived around 10:30 p.m., paid my tab, emptied the trash, stocked the refrigerators, and settled in behind the counter. By midnight, the coast was quiet. I chatted with the regulars, truckers, night owls, grabbing Red Bulls or snack packs, and nodded off between sips of free coffee. Then, at exactly 12:37, the bell tinkled. A man in his mid-30s walked in. He wore a Carhartt jacket over jeans, empty-handed. No hat, no special gait, just slow, deliberate steps. He walked through the aisles, paused under each camera, and then left, just like that. No purchase, no glance at the register. I barely registered him. I'd seen weirder on quiet nights. At 1:04, the bell rang again. He walked up to the counter. "Bathroom?" he asked, voice calm and low. I buzzed him in. I hadn't seen anything off yet. He said thanks, headed straight back and closed the door behind him. I heard the latch click but didn't give it another thought. It was 7-Eleven. People went in. People came out. I kept busy, wiping the counter, rotating chips, wiping the display cases. The fluorescent hum was my lullaby until I noticed the restroom light still on, even after 5 minutes, then 10, then 20. That's when the silence starts getting heavy. The customers thin out. All you hear is HVAC and your own pulse thundering in your ears. My gaze kept flicking that way. The restroom door was closed. No movement. A few minutes later, around 1:50, the bell rang again. It startled me. I looked up. A Tennessee state trooper stood there, tired and ready for his regular coffee. He nodded at me. I pointed at the restroom. "Guy's been in there since around 1:04. He nodded and moved toward the restroom with that calm professionalism troopers have. No weapon yet, just presence. He knocked. No response. I offered my keys, but he just shook his head and radioed it in. "Sir, stay with me outside," he said. They used the master key. With a click, the door opened. Nothing inside. No man. Just a single paper towel on the floor. That's when the trooper looked up. A square tile had been shifted in the drop ceiling. One of those plain white tiles cracked just a little. It wasn't original, someone had popped it out. "Back up, son," the trooper said. He tapped his radio. Within 10 minutes, additional units arrived, lights flashing off the glass, beams cutting into the ceiling tile above the restroom. One of them poked at the tile with a tool, and I heard a startled scuffling, and then silence. A man fell at their feet, clothes dusty, eyes wide, breathing fast. He was curled behind the insulation above the bathroom, half crouched toward the stockroom. He had a backpack stuffed with stolen IDs, gloves, rope, and a hunting knife. I learned later he had an outstanding warrant for violent home invasion. All that time, he was up there, inches from the tiles I breathed under every shift. I sat in my chair, cotton-mouthed. I was alone with that man for over an hour. After that, I told management I wanted days. I didn't need the extra coffee, I needed to sleep without worry. Now, even a rustle from above or a tap in the stockroom stops my heart cold. Even just the hum of flickering lights makes me check the ceiling tile above my head. Because the worst kind of fear is knowing someone was already inside. The next few days felt like what I imagined limbo must be, everything frozen. But I knew I wasn't asleep. I wasn't dreaming. That man was real, and he was in my store. That night planted something in me, a thorn of dread that never fully goes away. I stuck to my guns. "Day shift, please." Management made it happen. I went home around 2 p.m. and slept through my phone vibrating for hours. My landlord even texted about late rent. My head was spun with fear and exhaustion. I didn't care. It wasn't just the bathroom ceiling tile. It was knowing he had been so close he could have heard me breathe. He carried rope and identification and waited to see what happened next. He planned to stay until I left or shift change. He never intended to emerge unless I did. Did he want to trap me? Or just watch? I started sleeping with the nightlight on, the bathroom door locked, and a chair blocking the bedroom door. Shadows carry shapes, and in that state they look less like fabric and more like waiting bodies. I flipped the ceiling lights on during thunderstorms, climbed into bed only once I'd checked every corner. Meanwhile, across town, old 7-Elevens live on in their own world of strange incidents, drug deals at dawn, robberies in broad daylight. After one particularly rough afternoon shift, I stopped by a friend's house. Sean has been in law enforcement for years, a part-time K-9 handler. I asked him if cops ever check ceilings. Not unless they suspect illegal surveillance or trafficking, he said, sounding worried about why I was asking. Ceilings in attics, pretty rare. Residential break-ins mostly, with doors or windows. Part of the reason why your story is weird. I knew it was. But weird or not, it happened. A man tucked into the ceiling, waiting for midnight. I thought about the thrill of not being noticed. That doesn't happen with me behind the counter. People know me. They point me out to their kids. He picked me because I was easy to watch. He picked an off-the-highway store because it has blind spots. I should feel safe away from city center, but the opposite's true. That night I dreamed he was waiting above me, hammock swinging in the insulation, quietly breathing. I woke gasping and checked every ceiling tile in my apartment before sunlight even crept in. Weeks passed. No sign of him. No weird noise above my new apartment. No strange cars parked outside. But inside my head, the rustle never faded. I felt like I carried a shadow. One evening, I passed the original 7-Eleven on the edge of town, the one off the interstate. I stopped the car to get coffee. I stared at the building like it might swallow me the moment I stepped inside. I didn't go in. The police filed a report. The trooper who responded said the suspect won't be back where he heard cops. I believed him, but I also knew assessment means jack if there's no detective on the case. The trooper said it was likely a transient, maybe homeless, targeting roadside break-ins for easy access. I wondered where he'd go next. I tried therapy. Talking helped, but I still snapped at rustles. I started carrying pepper spray in my pocket and a flashlight in my glove box. I swapped locks at my apartment and joined a gym for squat racks, something to feel strong again. Troy Lancaster, 26, former night shift clerk, now living like a security precaution. Then one afternoon, I got a call from Sean. Someone broke into the 7-Eleven on Maywood Avenue. Same setup. No one inside, but they never left the back room. They found motion in the ceiling above that bathroom, but he climbed out before officers arrived. That same night, I posted a warning in the local convenience store workers group online. Nothing happened. No one wrote back. They might have thought I was exaggerating gung-ho about some conspiracy. Maybe I was, but I know what I heard. Still, troopers can't be everywhere, and these are busy nights at stores across town. I know he can pick and choose where to hide. Easier in one of those older places with drop ceilings and pay-no-attention aisles. I didn't want to go back, but I wanted to close the loop. I called the detective assigned to the Maywood case. No help, no reward, no publicity. Still, something stirred in me. Pride, spite, tired of fear. I returned to the exit 19 7-Eleven. I asked management if I could come in during the day, look around, check the bathroom ceiling tile for fingerprints, dust for prints, anything. They said yes, but only if escorted, liability issues, etc. Sean came with me. He did the forensic part, dusting, UV light, toolkit, looking for a print or hair. We found a small smudge on the edge of the dropped ceiling tile, partial fingerprint. Not enough for ID, but enough to prove he'd been inside. Enough to say it happened again. Later that night, I sat in my car, across from the store, watching the glow of the benzene-powered lights. No bell, no rustle, just emptiness. And in that emptiness, I realized something. My fear was a result, not the cause. I was afraid because I knew I was the product of his plan once. I was afraid because that knowledge is contagious. But I'm also the only one who knows. That's liability for him. That's empowerment for me if I choose to. Now, I work office hours. During daylight, I keep my eyes open. I make straightforward alarms part of my routine. At night, I sleep with earplugs and barricaded doors. When other people wander into convenience stores off the interstate, I look at them a bit differently. Just in case. I'm not living in fear. I'm living with caution. Every once in a while, a photograph of that 7-Eleven shows up in local nostalgia feeds, a dated Times Square-style sign with 7-Eleven in neon. If I drive by, I glance at the roof line, the intact drop ceiling. I imagine him concealed up there again. Maybe it's absurd. But you don't eke through a ceiling tile in silence unless you're going somewhere you want to stay. I don't think I'm better than anyone. But if one store clerk sees something slightly off, an open ceiling tile, an empty restroom light, they might speak up, might search a little, might call for backup. The way paranoia moves is contagious, not to scare people but to save them, because it's not always the trips or the fights or the robberies you hear. Sometimes it's the ones you don't see. Awareness protects. Threats aren't always obvious. The scariest danger isn't the one breaking down doors. It's the one who already positioned themselves where no one watches. Trust the silence. React to the empty spaces. Sometimes the best safety is seeing what others assume is empty. They say everyone has a point where silence turns from comfort to something else. For me, that moment came on a cold night in Flagstaff, Arizona, beneath the low hum of fluorescent warehouse lights and the mechanical breath of paper presses. I didn't used to be like this, jumpy at small sounds, checking my phone every few minutes, making mental notes of every exit in a room. But life has a way of sanding down your edges until all that's left are the parts that learned how to flinch. After the breakup with Aaron, I'd wanted to disappear. No drama, no drawn-out conversations about who got the couch or whether we could still be friends. Just gone. I cashed out my vacation time at the auto shop, took whatever work I could find, and ended up taking a graveyard maintenance gig at Claritin Printing Packaging. Paid decently, mostly manual stuff, refilling paper rolls, checking fluid levels, running diagnostics. Night shift meant fewer people, and fewer people meant fewer chances for awkward small talk or sad looks. It was perfect, until it wasn't. The warehouse was massive. Think, 2 football fields of chugging industrial printers, humming along like sleeping giants. Every night at 2:45 sharp I did the rounds, starting from the break room to the shipping dock, then looped back through the stairwells and upper-level catwalks. It was mechanical, almost comforting. Then the phone call started. First night I thought it was a fluke. 2:50 a.m., unknown number, 1 ring, then gone. I didn't answer, didn't care to. Second night, same time, same number, just a buzz and silence. By the third night I was annoyed enough to turn my ringer off completely. But that night I swear I heard it. Just after the third ring faded into nothing, I caught a sound below me. A metallic click, the kind a door makes when it's keyed open. Then a short electronic beep. My gut pulled tight. Only 3 of us had overnight clearance. Jake had the week off, Vegas with his girlfriend. Carla was on medical leave after slipping near the dock. That left me. I grabbed my flashlight thinking maybe one of the day shift guys came in early or someone left a door unlocked. I told myself it was nothing, but when I reached the side stairwell, the one I locked myself every night at midnight, the door was open just a crack. And I wasn't alone. The silhouette stood halfway down the stairs, motionless, like it had been there long before I arrived. I couldn't see the face, just the shape. A man, tall, broad-shouldered, holding something in his right hand that glinted faintly in the emergency lighting. A knife. Not big. Box cutter, maybe. But sharp enough to make my throat tighten. I didn't run. I wanted to, believe me. But instincts told me one thing loud and clear. Sudden moves get attention. so I backed up slowly, keeping my eyes on the figure, then slipped behind the side office door and locked it. My hands shook as I fumbled my phone out of my coveralls. Dialed 911, whispered into the receiver. Claritin Printing, someone's inside, armed, not supposed to be here. The dispatcher kept me talking while Flagstaff PD made their way over. I stared at the grainy security monitor above the desk, watching the hallway near the stairwell. But the figure never came into frame. By the time the cops arrived, 4 cruisers and 1 unmarked, whoever it was, they were long gone. They swept the building top to bottom. At first, nothing. No forced doors, no missing supplies. I started to doubt myself until they cracked open the janitor's closet on the 2nd floor. There, beneath a mop bucket and a stack of sealed rags, was a black duffel bag. Inside, duct tape, rope, a pair of latex gloves, a burner phone with no contacts, and a key card, unregistered. The weirdest part? Whoever it was didn't seem interested in the equipment. No signs they tried to break into the main control panels or storage. The cameras, what little coverage we had, only showed him entering through the back lot at 2:41 a.m., swiping in like he belonged. Then he just waited. For me. Maybe not me specifically, but someone. The thought hit me like a kick to the ribs. What if I had answered the call? I didn't sleep the next day. Just lay in bed, blinds drawn tight, letting the daylight trickle around the edges like guilt. The cops ran the card. Nothing. The burner phone? Wiped. I told them about the missed calls, the sound of the beep, the figure on the stairs. They nodded, took notes, and said they'd increase patrols around Claritin. But that was it. No one found a license plate. No one matched the description. Back at work the next night, I couldn't shake the feeling of eyes on me. Every flicker in the lights, every shift in the shadows. It felt personal now. I kept thinking about the bag in the closet, about the knife. Was I supposed to be tied up, killed, or maybe something worse? I tried to quit that night, right there in the shift manager's office. But Jerry, the closest thing Claritin had to a boss after 10 p.m., just sipped his coffee and said, "Finish out the week. We're short-staffed. You're fine, kid." I wasn't fine. 3 nights later, it happened again. Same time, same number. This time I answered. No voice, just breathing. Slow, steady, and then click. It hung up. I didn't wait around, grabbed my gear, told Jerry I was sick, and walked out. Didn't even clock out. I kept expecting the police to follow up, but the file went cold. No leads, no break-ins, no stolen equipment, technically no crime at all, just a man with a knife who entered a building he shouldn't have had access to. That wasn't enough. I moved into a studio apartment across town, took up work delivering packages for a logistics startup. Daytime only. I couldn't bring myself to work after dark. Sometimes I'd catch myself staring at stairwells, wondering if I'd see him again. Months passed. No more calls. But every now and then a voicemail would show up, blank, time-stamped between 2:40 and 2:55 a.m. Just static. No number. I changed phones twice. Still happened. I got in touch with Jake once, the guy from Claritin who'd been in Vegas that night. He said the company never found out who accessed the building, and that the badge had been deactivated quietly. They said it was probably a contractor glitch, he told me. Barely upgraded the cameras after that. You know how cheap they are. I asked him if anyone ever found the guy. He paused. No, but Carla said she saw someone hanging around the lot a few weeks ago. Said he looked like a janitor but wasn't carrying anything, just standing there. That was all I needed to hear. It's been almost a year. I don't work nights. Don't go into stairwells alone. I don't answer blocked numbers, but I check the call log every morning just to see. Still get one every few weeks. Still around 2:50 a.m. People say I'm paranoid, but they weren't there. They didn't hear that beep. They didn't see that silhouette on the stairs, waiting. I tried therapy. Didn't help much. There's no label for what happened. No name for a man who doesn't steal, doesn't speak, doesn't leave fingerprints. He wasn't trying to get in. He was already inside. I've learned to trust my gut. When a door's supposed to be locked and it isn't, I don't investigate. I leave. When a call comes and something feels off, I listen. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just static. Or maybe someone's trying to see who'll answer. Because that's the thing, isn't it? The real threat doesn't always kick down your door or make a scene. Sometimes it waits for you to ignore the third ring. Trust your instincts. Not every danger announces itself with noise. Sometimes it's the quiet things. The flicker of a hallway light, a missed call, a door left slightly ajar, that carry the weight of real threat. Don't dismiss what feels wrong just because it doesn't make sense. Listen to that whisper in your gut. It might be the only warning you get. You learn things working the night shift on a highway in Montana, like how snow sounds when it lands on an empty roof, how truckers smell before and after caffeine, and how silence gets heavier the farther you are from help. I wasn't always like this, jumping at headlights, watching the door, keeping one hand under the counter where I kept the emergency flashlight. But people don't come to a place like Ridgeway Fuel Diner for comfort. They come because they have no other choice. Dead gas tank, long haul, bad weather. Sometimes all three. Ridgeway's 20 miles from the next pump in either direction on I-90 and about a half step away from nowhere. It's why I took the job. I liked quiet, liked being left alone. After the accident that took my brother, I needed to be somewhere the world wouldn't ask too many questions. Ridgeway was perfect. A diner, 4 pumps, and a convenience store with flickering lights, and a slow drip coffee machine that never quite worked right. Overnight shift was just me and Brianna, the short order cook who'd been here longer than the potholes. It was early January. Temperature somewhere near freezing. Sunday night, the kind where even the coyotes didn't bother howling. I was behind the counter, sipping stale coffee, watching snow sweep across the front lot like dry sand. 1:10 a.m. on the register clock when I saw the red pickup roll in. They didn't rush. 2 men. One tall with a buzz cut and hands that looked like they'd been through steel. The other short, wiry, moving fast but never looking hurried. They parked by the diesel pump, didn't fill up, just stepped inside. Didn't say a word, wandered the aisles like they were waiting for something. One picked up a candy bar, set it back down. The tall one stared at me too long. Long enough that my stomach started to tighten, that old gut feeling like when you cross a bridge and don't trust the wood under your boots. They left after 10 minutes. At least I thought they did. I was pretending to reorganize the beef jerky shelf when the short one came back in. Alone this time. His boots left little puddles on the tile. "Our truck's dead," he said, like he'd just remembered. "Checks the hood? Mind if I wait inside while my buddy?" I looked at him, then at the snow still falling sideways outside. I wanted to say yes, but something in me, it wasn't fear exactly, more like a quiet warning, made me stand a little straighter. "Sorry," I said. "Policy says no loitering unless you're buying something." He smiled like it was all good, like he understood, but something flicked behind his eyes before he turned and walked out. That kind of flicker you see in dogs about to bite. The door closed. I exhaled. Then I heard a whisper from the back kitchen door. "Hey." Brianna's face was pale, her eyes wide. She motioned me back. I stepped in, shutting the kitchen door behind me. "I heard them," she whispered. "They were standing outside the back wall near the vent, talking about you. One said they'd drag the kid out back if he didn't play nice." I didn't ask how she heard it. I didn't need to. I locked the front door from behind the counter, hit the silent alarm. Then followed Brianna through the narrow kitchen, past the griddle to the back hallway. We moved fast, hearts pounding, through the freezer's service exit, out into the snow. Behind us, the glass shook from the sound of fists. The cold bit into my face like a slap. We ducked behind the dumpsters near the rear fence. I could see the red truck still parked by the pump. No snow on the hood, meaning they hadn't even tried to pop it. Then I saw them, both men. One circled the side of the building. The other, the tall one, now had something in his hand. Long, metal, a tire iron. He tried the diner's side door. It rattled but held. The short one stomped through the front lot again, glancing into windows, tapping the glass like he was checking for cracks. Brianna's breath came in little clouds. She gripped my coat sleeve. "I've seen guys like this before," she whispered. "Not here, but back in Fargo. We had a bar. One night, guy came in just like him. Smiled nice. Killed the bartender in the alley. The cold didn't bother me anymore. I just watched, heart thumping so loud it felt like it might give us away. Then headlights, not the truck, a cruiser. Blue and red lights painted the parking lot like a crime scene before it became one. The two men didn't run, just strolled back to their truck, calm as Sunday school, and drove off slow like they'd changed their minds about something. By the time the cops stepped out, the truck was vanishing down the white road. No plates, no rear lights. The next few days were a blur of statements, photo lineups, and a stiff-lipped detective with a salt and pepper mustache who said more with looks than words. They never caught the guys, but 3 days later he came back with surveillance stills from a gas station in Wyoming. 2 men, red pickup, same build, different hoodies. "That clerk," he said, sliding over a printout. Door kicked in, blood on the floor. Didn't show up for his next shift. Found the back, I felt sick. The detective tapped the picture. Waits for the green light. They like isolated spots, work in pairs. One distracts. Other Brianna didn't come in for a week. When she did, she gave me a look that said we weren't just coworkers anymore. We were survivors. I started keeping my phone on vibrate, the emergency flashlight just under the counter, close enough to grab without looking. The side and back doors, propped slightly, always tested twice. One night, a tourist knocked after hours. Just wanted to use the bathroom. I didn't open the door. He got mad, said I was paranoid. Called me a few names through the glass. Maybe I am paranoid. Or maybe I'm alive because of it. People ask why I still work here. After that night, I had offers. Better places, day shifts, somewhere closer to a town with traffic and cell service that doesn't flicker like a dying bulb. But there's something about facing the dark and still standing. I know this place now. I know where the shadows fall at 2 a.m. I know which plows pass first in the morning. I know the difference between someone who's tired and someone who's waiting to make a move. And I know that evil doesn't wear a mask or announce itself. Sometimes it walks in, looks around, and smiles too politely. I keep a second silent alarm near the register now. I added a bolt to the side door. Management didn't care. I did it anyway. Because out here, where the world narrows to a stretch of snow-covered highway and a humming icebox of a store, one bad decision isn't just a mistake. It's an obituary waiting to be signed. Always trust your instincts. Out in the middle of nowhere, there's no backup, no crowd, no safety net. When something feels wrong, really wrong, chances are it is. Sometimes survival isn't about being the strongest or the fastest. It's about listening to that small, stubborn voice inside that says, no, not this time. Because out here, your gut might be the only warning you get, and sometimes it's the only thing that saves you. When you work the graveyard shift at a 24-hour burger joint, you see a version of the world most people sleep through. Everything's slower, weirder, like reality thins out after 2 a.m. Time stretches, lights hum louder, and the air smells like old oil and regret. I was 20 when I took the job at Burger Box 24, Yakima's finest last resort fast food pit stop on the edge of town. I was living out of a basement rental, no college plans, just trying to save enough money to fix my car and maybe afford a place with a window. Nights suited me. Fewer people, fewer problems. I liked routine, the comforting rhythm of frying nuggets, wiping down counters, calling out Order 42 into a mostly empty dining room. There were regulars, a trucker named Vic who always ordered double hash rounds, a nurse who came by after shifts, and the occasional drunk frat guy trying to sweet-talk free fries. But the thing I liked most was the silence between 2:30 and 4. No drive-through traffic, no grill orders. Just me, the buzzing freezer, and the soft slap of the mop across sticky tiles. That Tuesday started like any other. I got in at midnight, clocked in, tied my apron, and fired up the fryers. We had a small crew, just me and Andre, who handled prep in the back but mostly stayed glued to his earbuds and YouTube. Around 2:45, Andre took his smoke break out by the dumpster, said the snow was starting to fall again. At 3:04, the drive-through buzzer rang. I jumped a little. It was dead quiet just a second earlier. I leaned into the mic. "Welcome to Burger Box. Go ahead with your order." "Nothing." I waited a few seconds. Still no voice. I glanced up at the monitor above the register. The drive-through feed showed the usual empty lane, no headlights, no car. Just the wet asphalt and the glow of our flickering security lamp. Weird, I thought. Maybe a glitch. Maybe someone pulled in and bailed. I leaned back, sipped from a lukewarm cup of Sprite, and went back to wiping the stainless steel counter. Then the buzzer rang again. I tapped the mic again. Still no answer. "Burger Box, you there?" This time I looked straight at the monitor, and that's when I saw him. There was a man standing alone in the drive-through lane. No car. Just him. Drenched hoodie pulled low over his face, jeans soaked dark, his hands hanging limp at his sides like dead weight. He stood just beneath the overhang, the yellow lights casting a slick shine off his shoulders. I cleared my throat. "Sir, we can't serve walk-ups at the drive-through window." Nothing. He didn't flinch, didn't wave. Just stared. Not at the window, but at the camera, as if he could see me through it. I felt a chill climb up my back, like water dripping between my shoulder blades. He took one step forward. Slow, measured, his head tilted slightly, just enough to make it clear he wasn't confused or lost. He was watching. I locked the drive-through window. I stood there for another few seconds, heart thudding, watching the screen like it might blink him away. Then I glanced outside through the window itself. Empty. I checked the monitor again. He was gone. I stood still, trying to calm myself, trying to tell myself it was just some messed up prank or a guy on something. But I felt it, that sharp animal edge in your gut that says, you are being watched. I should have stayed behind the counter. Instead, I grabbed the flashlight from under the register and stepped out to check. I didn't go out front. Something about the air felt wrong. Instead, I circled to the back hallway that led past the dry storage to the service exit. The snow had started coming down in lazy spirals, covering the back lot in a thin film of white. That's when I saw it. The back door, the one I double-checked and latched at the start of every shift, was open. Not wide, just cracked. Maybe 3 inches. Enough for cold air to sneak in and maybe more. I swallowed hard. Stepped closer. No alarms were tripped. No signs of damage. But I knew that door had been locked. I had checked it myself. My hand shook as I pushed it open slowly, shining the flashlight beam into the snow-covered lot. Nobody there. But I spotted something on the concrete just outside. A long, straight scratch running along the wall like something metal had been dragged across it. Not a scuff or a tire mark. A scratch. Clean. Intentional. About waist height. And near the bottom of the door frame, smeared across the wall, was a greasy handprint. Fresh. Wet. Not just from the snow, from someone who had been holding something oily or coated in grime. That's when I turned back and locked the door. Deadbolt. Bar lock. Everything. I didn't care if I was being paranoid. I called the non-emergency line. A dispatcher picked up, calm and bored. I told her what happened. The buzzer, the man, the door, the handprint. She promised to send a patrol car. "Should be about 15 minutes, she said. I nodded, though she couldn't see me, and hung up. Andre came back in around 3:30, smelled the tension before he even saw my face. "You all right, bro?" I just said, "Don't go out back." The officer showed up at 3:48, lights off, slow and quiet. Mid-30s, calm voice, asked the right questions. I walked him through everything, showed him the security footage, and we stepped out back together so he could see the mark and the print for himself. Whoever it was, he said, anything. They knew what they were doing. Didn't leave prints. Didn't break. I asked him if this had happened before. He hesitated. Not like this. But last month we had a break-in at a storage yard just outside Toppenish. Similar thing. Guy was caught on camera standing still for a long time, just watching. I felt the chill again. The sense that whoever this was, they weren't here to steal anything. They were waiting, testing the locks, looking for a door that might open if someone wasn't paying attention. He paused the security footage. Frame by frame, we watched the man turn away and walk off. That's when we both saw it. He had something in his hand. Metallic, long. Could have been a pipe, or a crowbar, or something else. The officer wrote a report, told me to be careful. That was it. The next night I called the manager and asked to be moved to day shifts. He didn't argue. It's been 6 months. I don't work nights anymore. Daylight feels safer, warmer, in a way I never noticed before. I still pass by Burger Box sometimes, and I look at the back wall. They painted over the handprint, but I know where it was. I still think about it. About that man standing in the drive-thru like he had all the time in the world. 13 minutes of stillness. No demands, no threats, just waiting. People ask if I ever saw him again. I didn't. But sometimes I dream about the buzzer going off. I hear it in my sleep. I wake up thinking I left the window unlocked. Now, when I close up, I check every lock twice. I wedge a chair under the handle. I carry a flashlight even in my car, because I learned something that night. Some people don't need to break in. They just need to find the one moment you forget to lock the door. Fear isn't weakness, it's a warning. Listen to it. The scariest threats aren't loud. They don't announce themselves with broken glass or raised voices. Sometimes they wait in silence. Watch. They test your guard. And all it takes is one moment, one buzzer, one unlocked door, for everything to change. So pay attention. The moment you start thinking, it's probably nothing, is often the moment it's already something. When you're 19, broke, and trying to avoid a third roommate named Kyle, you start getting creative with side gigs. Uber Eats was supposed to be temporary, just some easy money before community college in the fall. I figured late-night deliveries would be smooth. Nord lights, no crowds, no small talk. Just me, my playlist, and a full tank of gas rolling through the quiet parts of Arkansas. I'd been at it for 3 weeks, mostly delivering to gas stations, motels, and porch-lit trailers. Nothing weird, unless you count the guy who tipped me in loose bullets and pocket lint. That Saturday night, I was cruising along the edge of Helena. Moon out, roads empty. I'd just dropped off some Taco Bell to a nurse on call when a ping came through. McDonald's, large order, 5 items, high tip, no note except the name, Mrs. Walker 87. The delivery address wasn't familiar, but it was only 12 minutes off the highway. Easy money. I picked up the order from the drive-thru, 2 quarter-pounders, fries, a McFlurry, and an apple pie, and hit the GPS. It led me out past the streetlights, where the pavement ended and gravel took over. Trees thickened. Street signs disappeared. It felt like driving straight into a dark, slow exhale. About 5 minutes down that winding gravel road, I noticed my bars dropping. First 3, then 2, then none. I slowed down. According to the map, I was still on course. But there weren't any mailboxes, no driveways, just black woods on both sides, and my headlights painting tree trunks in sickly white. Then I saw it. A single light bulb, hanging from a cord strung over a low branch, flickering like it couldn't decide if it was dying or not. Beneath it was an old, rusted fence, mostly swallowed by weeds. The GPS said I'd arrived, but there was no house, no porch, Just the clearing, the bulb, and the sound of my own breath getting shallow. I sat there for maybe 30 seconds, engine idling, trying to make sense of it. The screen just showed the little blue dot sitting at its destination. No reroute, no recalculating. But there was no building, no mailbox, just the fence and that stupid light swaying above it like someone had placed it there on purpose. My first thought was, maybe I messed up the address. Maybe it was nearby and the pin was just off. I reached for my phone, but the signal was gone. No service, no Wi-Fi, not even enough juice to send a message. That's when I heard the breathing, not mine, close, right side of the car. 2 sets, uneven, ragged, then soft, slow crunching. The unmistakable sound of someone stepping on dead leaves and broken twigs. I froze, didn't look, didn't move. My hand hovered over the gear shift. Then, louder this time, a sharp snap of a stick. I turned my head barely and saw nothing but the trees, but I felt it. Like my instincts had clocked something before my eyes could. I reached across, opened the passenger door, and dropped the McDonald's bag onto the gravel like it was cursed. Then I threw the car into reverse and hit the gas. The tires spun, throwing up rocks. For one awful second, I thought I was stuck. Then they caught, and I shot backward, fishtailing until I found the bend in the road and turned hard back toward the highway. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the wheel. In the rearview mirror, I saw someone step out of the trees. Tall, hoodie, holding something long and metallic. That's all I needed to see. I didn't stop driving until I hit the BP off Highway 49. 10 miles of adrenaline and blind panic. The gas station lights were like a rescue flare. I parked crooked, sprinted inside, and practically knocked over a rack of corn nuts. The clerk, a wiry older guy with a silver beard and a Miller High Life hat, just looked up and said, "Let me guess. You went out to the Walker place." I blinked, still gasping. "What?" He tapped the counter. "You're not the first delivery guy to come in here spooked. One fella came in barefoot once, said he lost his shoes running." I shook my head. There wasn't a house, just a clearing, a light hanging from a tree. He nodded, like I'd just confirmed a theory. That's how it always is. Nobody's lived out that way in years. Land's been in foreclosure since 2014. Nearest property line is a good half-mile past the tree line. I told him about the order, the name, Mrs. Walker 87, the breathing, the figure with the crowbar. He didn't even flinch. "Some people think it's a trap," he said. "Bunch of break-ins, missing dogs, weird police reports, all in that same radius. But no arrests, not enough evidence. Whoever they are, they know how to disappear fast." I asked him if anyone got hurt. He hesitated. "Not yet," he said, "far as we know." I called Uber support in the parking lot, spoke to a rep through shaky fingers, told her everything. The order was gone. No trace, no account by that name. Vanished from my delivery history like it never happened. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my car with the doors locked outside my apartment building, every nerve on fire. I kept replaying the moment in my head. The silence before the sound, the shape in the trees, the way the light above the clearing swayed without wind. The next morning I checked my delivery logs again. Nothing. I even emailed Uber's internal team. They got back with a boilerplate response. "We're sorry, we couldn't locate the trip associated with that name or address." Like it never happened. But I knew what I saw, what I heard. You don't imagine 2 separate people breathing right outside your window in the dark. You don't hallucinate the kind of fear that makes your whole body shut down. I talked to a friend who grew up around Helena. He didn't laugh, just said, "Some of those roads out there, you don't want to know who walks them after midnight." I stopped driving after sundown. Then I stopped taking rural requests altogether. A few extra bucks wasn't worth it, but sometimes I still think about it. What if I'd stepped out? What if I'd knocked on some rotted-out door, thinking I just needed better reception? Or worse, what if I'd waited 5 more minutes, It's been a year. I'm working a warehouse job now, stable hours, concrete floors, fluorescent lights, the kind of place where you always know what's behind every door. I still use delivery apps. I still drive those roads sometimes, but I never take back roads at night. Never ignore my gut when it twists up like that, because that night taught me something I can't unlearn. Someone, or something, out there used the app like bait, lured me to a place where nobody would hear me scream, where the map said I was exactly where I was supposed to be, but no help would ever come. I looked it up later. That rusted fence, the property belonged to the Walkers, but Mrs. Walker, the real one, died in 2016. No living relatives. The name wasn't random. It was intentional. I don't think they wanted the food. I think they wanted me to walk up, alone, lost, with no signal and no clue how far I was from safety. Now every time I see a delivery driver parked off some empty road, I feel this cold weight in my chest. I want to tell them to go home. Trust their gut. Drive away if it feels wrong. Because sometimes it isn't about what you see. It's about what's watching you just out of sight, waiting for your second guess, your hesitation, your foot to hit the gravel. When something feels wrong, leave. Immediately. There are places no map should take you, and there are moments where logic won't save you, only instinct will. If your gut screams, listen. There are people who plan for hesitation, who count on your curiosity or doubt. Don't give them the chance. No tip is worth disappearing for. I used to love silence. It's why I took house-sitting jobs. Not because I loved being in other people's homes, but because I loved leaving mine. Silence gave me space to think, to work on my photography without distractions. City life felt like static. Out in the woods, I could finally hear myself breathe. The lake house in Twin Pines was perfect. Nestled in a pocket of trees just past a winding gravel road, it sat above a still, glassy lake that never seemed to ripple. 2 stories, huge windows, deck with a hot tub and a golden retriever named Bear who looked like he'd stepped off a dog food commercial. The owners were a retired couple heading to Hawaii for 2 weeks. All they needed was someone to water the succulents, feed Bear, and keep the doors locked at night. Simple. They left on a Monday. By Wednesday, the rhythm had already settled in. I'd get up, feed Bear, go on a walk with him around the lake, shoot some photos during golden hour, and relax on the balcony at night with tea or a book. Bear never barked, never even whined, except when a deer wandered close to the yard. Then he'd lift his head and huff through his nose, ears alert. That night, the 3rd night, it was cooler than usual. Mist was rolling across the lake like something alive. I had chamomile tea in one hand and a hoodie zipped to my chin. It was 12:28 a.m. when Bear suddenly stood up and growled at the sliding door behind me. Not barked, growled, low, continuous. His whole body stiff, ears pinned, head low. I turned and looked into the glass. All I saw was my own reflection, backlit by the interior kitchen lights. But Bear didn't stop. When a dog like Bear growls, you listen. He wasn't anxious by nature. The kind of dog who'd probably share a sandwich with a burglar if they tossed him half. But that growl, that was different. Instinctual. Protective. I whispered, "What is it, boy?" and stepped closer to the door, half expecting to see a raccoon or maybe a coyote nosing around the garbage bins. Nothing. Just darkness beyond the porch light. The trees swayed in silence. Then Bear took off. I mean full sprint. Claws skittering across the hardwood, slipping around the corner into the hallway like something was pulling him. I followed, calling after him. He stopped just in front of the hallway closet, ears forward, teeth bared. I stopped too. That closet. I'd opened it earlier in the day. Coats, umbrellas, a vacuum. Nothing out of the ordinary. But now there was a strange tension in the air, like the air was holding its breath. Bear didn't bark, just kept that same low growl like a warning, like he didn't want to give away too much, only enough to say, "Don't go near it." I did the stupid thing anyway. I leaned closer. There was a gap between the door and the frame, maybe an inch. And in that inch, something stared back at me. Human eyes. Not wide in surprise, not scared, just watching, flat, unblinking. I screamed so loud my own ears rang, grabbed Bear by the collar and yanked him backward down the hallway. My hands were shaking so hard I nearly dropped my phone trying to dial 911. The dresser from the guest room got shoved against my bedroom door. I locked it, braced a chair under the knob and slid down to the floor. Bear sat beside me, ears still alert, growling like the threat hadn't moved an inch. The dispatcher kept me talking, told me to stay calm, stay hidden. Help was 8 minutes out. I remember the number because I stared at the clock on the wall the whole time, counting each second like it mattered. Every creak of the floorboards felt like a footstep. Every wind gust against the siding made my blood run cold. I kept Bear close, one hand gripping his collar like that would stop a man from busting through drywall if he really wanted to. 8 minutes. It felt like an hour. The moment I heard the knock on the front door and the words, "Sheriff's office," through the hallway, I bolted out, heart still in my throat. The dresser toppled as I shoved it aside. 2 deputies searched the entire place. Closet first, then the attic, then the crawl space. Nothing. No forced entry. No broken locks. Every window was shut. No sign of anyone hiding. I felt like I was losing it. Until one of the officers stepped out onto the back deck and called me over. In the bushes beneath the balcony, they found fast food wrappers, a used water bottle, a crumpled sleeping bag, and next to it, a laminated name badge from a delivery service I recognized, one I'd used a dozen times before. The name was smudged, but the photo was clear. A man, mid-30s, thin, pale. The officer looked at me, clocked out. He's been missing since January, left his route one night, and I didn't say anything, because I already knew what he was about to suggest. That man didn't break in. He'd already been inside. They think he'd been living in the crawl space or attic. Maybe both. Maybe moving between them, coming out at night, eating leftovers, using the house like a hotel room. The weirdest part was, nothing was stolen. Not a single item was missing. It wasn't about robbery. It wasn't about harm, at least, not yet. It was about proximity. The thought still haunts me, that while I showered, he may have been a thin layer of drywall away. While I slept, he may have been curled in the corner of the attic, listening to my breathing. And Bear must have known. That first night, when he whined at the kitchen door, I thought it was a squirrel. The second night, when he circled the hall twice before settling at my feet, I thought he was just restless. But he knew. Dogs don't lie. They don't gaslight you. They feel what they feel and show it plainly. I stayed with a friend in town the next few days. Couldn't go back, not even to grab my things. I had to send someone else. Even walking up the driveway made my skin crawl. The owners came home early. They didn't seem surprised, just shaken. Said the attic had a hatch they forgot to mention. They'd never used it, assumed it was sealed. But dust near the edge was disturbed. Footprints visible if you looked close. I looked once. Never again. It took months to sleep without checking the closet. I still house sit sometimes, but only in homes with cameras, bolted attics, and neighbors close enough to hear a scream. I talk about that night less and less now, not because it didn't happen, but because most people don't want to hear it. It's easier to believe the world is safe if you pretend stories like mine are just that, stories. But they aren't. That man, he was never caught, never seen again, just vanished, like smoke. Maybe he found another home. Maybe he's still in the woods somewhere, waiting for the next quiet house, the next unlocked door. Sometimes I still lie awake at night and remember the way Bear growled, how steady and low it was. Not panicked, not loud, just certain. He didn't need to see a weapon or a threat. He just knew something wasn't right. Now, when Bear growls at the wind or stares too long at a corner, I listen. I always listen. Because once you learn how easily someone can live in your walls without you knowing, you don't unlearn it. You only check harder and sleep lighter. Trust your instincts and your dogs. Silence doesn't always mean safety. Sometimes it's a cover for something waiting. We lock our doors and set our alarms, but real danger doesn't always come crashing through a window. Sometimes it waits quietly already inside. Your body knows, your dog knows. Listen to them before it's too late. The first night you're on graveyard shift, everything feels amplified. The hum of the fluorescent lights, the distant whoosh of passing cars empty on the highway, the steady, lonely blink of the exit sign. My mom insisted I text her every hour. I thought it was paranoid, but for the first few nights I did it anyway. We're in Mercer Falls, South Carolina. Population somewhere just shy of comfortable. Way Station Gas Go is the only station that runs 24 hours. Pretty much the only stop between here and the next town. I'm 18, working my first job at midnight. Mom bought me the bulletproof glass, the little two-way radio, even a highlighter so I could be seen. I just wanted a job, not a test of courage. I kissed her on the cheek before she left that first night. "It's just coffee and chips," I'd said. "I got this." I did, until 12:16 a.m. on my 6th shift. Before that, it was routine. Sweep the floor, clean the coffee machines, restock the red-necked fridge with Slim Jims and energy drinks. Midnight to dawn, 2 cigarettes on the break bench out back. Then home. Text mom at the top and bottom of every hour, answering with, "I'm good." That night I texted her at 12 o'clock, still awake. No traffic outside, just my own footsteps clicking on the linoleum. Then the black sedan rolled in, swooped up to pump 6, headlights cutting a clean path across the lot. I watched on the monitor. The man stepped out wearing a hoodie, zipped up despite the heat. He didn't pump gas. He leaned against the car, staring at the store like a predator sizing up the prey. That's when my gut clenched. I kept my eyes on the monitor, phone half turned in my pocket, ready to text mom. The man stayed for 10 minutes, motionless, his figure hunched in the shadow of the canopy. Sweat dripped down the glass door behind me and rolled along the floor. I tried to steady my breathing. Then he walked up, fast, too calm. "Can I help you?" I said, staying behind the glass. He tapped 2 fingers on the plexiglass. Speaker. His voice was easy. Too easy. "You working all night?" he asked through the mic. I nodded. My name tag read, Haley, no last name. He smiled. "You look familiar. You go to Southern High?" He folded his arms, leaned in. My heart slammed. I shook my head. "Never heard of you." But he nodded like he believed me. Again. "Right? I think you used to ride the bus down Chestnut." He tapped Chestnut Drive was the bus route I used. He didn't know my last name, but he knew where I went. I reached under the counter, fingertips on the panic button, waiting, trying to stay calm. And then he started circling, drank the rest of his soda, tapped at the restroom door, locked of course, checked the front windows and slipped around to the side. Then, the power cut. Lights flickered. Everything went dark except the red exit sign hanging over the counter. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't breathe. I locked the sliding glass door on my side and ducked behind the counter, phone in hand. Signal. 0. I slammed open the door to the supply closet beside me and slipped in, locking it from inside. I sent Mom a text. 911. The closet was cramped but safe. I pressed my back against the wall, bracing against the crate of cleaning supplies. My phone screen glowed pale blue in the darkness. I whispered into it again for good measure. "Help. I'm locked in. There's a man out front." My breaths felt loud, my heart beat louder. I could hear the man's steps, slow and purposeful, echo around the station. I heard him lift the window shutters, metal sliding against metal. Then silence. The sound of measured feet on concrete. Faint creak of the restroom lock as he tried it again. I backed away, folding my legs in, curling around the box of rubber gloves in closest reach. 13 minutes. Mom's voice came through my head. Text every hour. I had broken the rule by 20 minutes. But would she have known? Would she have done anything? A knock on the front door. 2 deputies, lights flashing blue and red against the glass. I collared them from inside. "He's gone around the back." I jerked open the door. They moved fast, clearing the building. Snap, snap. Lights clicking on as they checked each aisle in the cooler and each dusty shelf by the chips. They found the man's sedan dumped 2 miles down Old Mill Road. Stolen plates, no prints, no obvious leads, and 1 burner phone, abandoned at Pump 6, loaded with pictures of me, from the school parking lot, from outside my house. My stomach flipped. The deputies grilled me for the next week. I answered every question, replayed the moment over in my head. His face, the smile, the way he said, "Chestnut." How calm he was. They thought he'd been watching me for a while, maybe following me from school. The plates were swapped across counties. The phone in his pocket was tied to a burner service, traced to a purchase outside Walmart. He hadn't been there to buy gas, he'd been there to watch me. I quit before my next shift. The manager called, said he'd found someone to cover, but I couldn't walk back into that station. Not ever. Mom hugged me the first time I came home. Hard. I told her I'd never text her so fast again. Even the bathroom drain would come with an update. I stayed off graveyard schedules. My new job, at a bakery, mornings only. I need sunlight, people around me. No more bulletproof glass, but no more black sedans at Pump 6. Now sometimes I stop at gas stations after dark, on road trips, on errands. I pull up to a pump, glance in the mirror. I check every car, every face, even the glass stalls. I don't recognize anyone. Mostly I still don't sleep well. I hear flickers behind me in my dreams. A hoodie face leaning back at me through the glass, smiling like he knows. When I feel uneasy at night, I text Mom. $30, 1 text per hill climb. She doesn't care anymore, she just answers, "I love you." Because now I know. A smile and a question can be the mask before an attack. Familiar details can be bait, and you won't know which pump is safe until you leave the station. So I do, every single time. Your gut knows before your eyes do. Danger often wears a friendly face and speaks your name. It doesn't break down doors. It waits for you to open them. It collects details that feel personal. When something, even a question, feels too familiar, it probably is. Trust your instincts. Text the person who needs to know. Walk away. Because when you hesitate, curiosity can cost you a whole lot more than your pride. I always thought that working the graveyard shift would be peaceful, maybe even comforting. I'm 23, living in a modest apartment in Albany, New York, staring at the glow of my dual monitors most nights. By day, I armor myself for the world. By night, I slip into pajamas, refill my coffee, and settle into Technova's remote support routine. Password resets, activation errors, slow scans. From midnight to 6 a.m., I'm the calm voice assuring someone their files aren't lost forever. It was Thursday and I closed my evening shift at the retail store, grabbed dinner leftovers, and logged into my work laptop by 11 p.m. The hours ticked by predictably. Tickets resolved, customers thanked me, system statuses monitored. Around 1:45 a.m. I felt the familiar buzz of fatigue, but I was content. Coffee warm, playlist humming quietly. Then, at 2:03 a.m., a chat ping distracted me. Help, which wasn't unusual, but the message was odd. Anonymous user claimed they needed, "What color are your bedroom curtains?" I stared. I checked the chat again. No context. Just that question. My heart thumped. I typed back, "Sorry, I can't help with that," and closed the chat. 30 seconds later, another one opened. "Why'd you change the lamp position near your desk? It was better on the right." My breath caught. That was the lamp I repositioned that morning after realizing it cast glare into my webcam during home video calls, something I hadn't mentioned publicly. My gaze darted to my webcam, uncovered. Nausea squeezed my stomach. I ended the chat without responding. Then my phone buzzed. A blocked number. I didn't answer. Moments later, a text. "I'm outside your building. You looked scared just now." The words felt like poison. I snapped off all my lights. The bright operating system glow suddenly overwhelming. I moved silently across my apartment to the blinds and pulled them closed just as my shaking fingers dialed 911. They asked questions, noted the blocked number, the chats, but could do little until they arrived. My pulse raced, peripheral vision alert to every shadow outside. I stared at the blackened window for minutes, waiting while each second stretched impossibly. The knock came at 2:20 a.m. "Albany PD," the officer said. His voice sounded distant, like through a thick filter. I opened the door. Cool night air spilled in. The street lamp across the road revealed nothing but empty asphalt. He followed me to the living room, lightly tapping the blinds. "We'll check for someone in the building." He softened his voice. "Could just be a prowler, not someone you know." "Someone knows me," I whispered. "That lamp, the curtains, they're inside details." He nodded, asked if he could search. I agreed, anxious, but grateful. He and his partner scanned the hallway and adjacent units. No signs of forced entry, no one lurking. My door bolts held strong, no marks, no footprints. They searched outside too. Absolutely nothing. Yet taped to my front door was a photo, printed in color, of me at my desk earlier that night. The lamp lit evenly. My face leaned in, focused. The image was fresh, crisp, taken from outside the second-story window. I screamed. The officer removed it carefully, bagged it, labeled evidence. "We'll run prints and digital traces." I nodded, shoulders shaking. He reassured me privately. "We take cyberstalking seriously." But I heard no promise, just the faint flick of his pen on the police report. They left around 3:30 a.m. My apartment was quiet, except for the hum of the laptop cooling fan. My mind raced, attempting to map a possible intruder. Someone living in the building? Someone with access to my Wi-Fi? Someone watching? I couldn't sleep. Instead, I shut down the laptop and unplugged the router entirely. I pulled the webcam cap closed, the red light now dull and dead. I texted my roommate, away for the weekend, to say I needed help staying until sunrise. Sleep never came. I curled up on the couch, hoodie pressed over my ears, eyes watching the door. I recalled reviewing support logs earlier that day. I'd fixed a customer's activation loop, escalated a few tickets, reset passwords. I hadn't said anything unusual, but someone had been watching me. Now they'd escalated beyond chat pranks. At dawn, I packed a bag, toothbrush, a change of clothes, $300 in cash. I left a note. I moved out. Don't come looking. I knew even the police couldn't keep someone safe who had access to their digital details. And I shook thinking of the camera, the leaks, the story still unfolding. I moved in with a friend across town. Professionally, I quit that night. When Technova's manager called the next morning, I explained, "I can't sleep if someone's watching me through my webcam. I'm sorry. I can't continue." They were sympathetic and said they'd investigate, but there's no company policy against anonymous chat and no way to trace a user who spoofs their IP. Technova said they'd monitor the logs, but an anonymous user left no IP history. That user could be anywhere. My friend drove me for coffee. I still held my phone like a lifeline. I kept the blinds drawn that entire week, slept with 2 lamps on, and triple-checked door locks before bed. Weeks passed. The police investigation found the webcam accessed via a Mac spoof on my router logs. Someone also spoofed my IP to avoid trace. The photo on the door, no fingerprints. The burner phone that sent the text? Not found. I followed every guideline, locked the deadbolt, added a door jammer, installed a video doorbell. I unplugged every smart device that night. I didn't know where the invasion stopped and the paranoia began, but now they felt inseparable. Over time, I healed enough to work again. I found a morning shift at a co-working help desk, daytime tech support. My calls are polite, but I can't stop checking if the phone line's tapped. I've reinstalled security software 10 times. I deploy two-factor authentication religiously, VPN for every private device, webcam covers on all hardware. My living room is sprinkled with deterrents, Bluetooth locks, mesh encrypted Wi-Fi, a router that resets overnight. The blinds stay down. Any visitor has to announce themselves. I send screenshots of my co-working space public daily logs to charity chats. No one knows me in person. Months later, I learned someone in that building had moved out suddenly, without forwarding address around the same time. There were rumors of a drifter moving within the complex, seen carrying laptop bags at night, seen near the perimeter. No records, nothing concrete. The police suspect a hacker prowler, someone who used smart home spyware, a default password on my router, and easy-to-spoof accounts to get inside my place digitally. Then physically waited outside, silent, invisible. It's a lesson. Digital protection isn't enough without physical security. My life used to feel safe behind glass and encryption. Now I know each is meaningless without the other. I sleep lighter, but I sleep. And I've regained quiet. On my terms. I still support customers online once in a while. But I never work from home after dark. Security isn't optional, online or offline. We trust platforms and devices until they betray us. But even the best antivirus and encryption mean nothing if someone can peer through your webcam or your curtains. Digital vulnerability can lead to physical danger when someone turns virtual breadcrumbs into real-world stalking. Cover your cameras, update your firmware, lock your doors, and trust your gut. If someone knows your lamp's position, they're already inside more than you think. I never meant to stay in Springfield. It was supposed to be a place I passed through. A town with cheap gas, a few diners, and just enough anonymity to disappear in. I had a plan: keep my head down, find part-time work, and move west before winter hit. But plans mean very little after trauma, especially the kind that makes people doubt you more than they comfort you. Back in Illinois, I filed a report. Assault. Someone I knew, someone others trusted. The investigation got quiet too fast. Then it was dropped and I became the girl who changed her story too many times. I hadn't. But once people make up their minds, you're done. I packed a bag and drove until the silence in my chest matched the silence outside the windows. Springfield was where the money ran out. I found Canyon Edge Motor Lodge on a help-wanted flyer taped inside a gas station window. Night shift cleaner, light laundry, no guests to deal with. The manager, Glenn, barely interviewed me. He just looked at my ID, muttered something about the last girl quitting mid-shift, and handed me a ring of keys. The job was simple. I mopped the lobby, stocked towels, restocked vending machines, ran trash from the guest rooms after checkout. No front desk work, no eye contact. The perfect job for someone who didn't want to be seen. Until I was. I first saw him standing near the vending machine outside room 9. Wednesday night. The motel was half empty, but the hum of the snack machine made that stretch of hallway feel less dead. He was leaning against the wall like he'd been there a while, hands in his jacket pockets, eyes on nothing in particular. "Late night for both of us," he said as I pushed my mop bucket past him. I gave him a quick nod. I was used to men saying things like that. I knew better than to engage. The next night, he was there again. Same spot, same stance. "You always work this shift?" he asked, stepping slightly toward me. I lied. "Only helping out tonight." He smiled, not the creepy kind, but too casual, like we already knew each other. Like this was some running joke between us. That same shift, I met the woman. She walked up while I was replacing toilet paper in the hallway cart. Tall, blonde, well-dressed, like she'd gotten lost on the way to a conference hotel. She smiled easily, casually. "You okay working here?" she asked. I shrugged. "It's a job." "Just asking because I've seen that guy watching you," she said, leaning slightly, her voice soft. "He gives me the creeps." I glanced down the hallway, empty now. She introduced herself as Jenna, said she worked in wellness, retreats, women's healing groups, yoga, trauma recovery. She said I looked like someone who deserved more than this place. Then she asked me to take a walk outside with her, just for a minute. Said her car was out back and there were no cameras there. She wanted to talk without the motel watching. My skin went cold. "I can't leave the building," I said, keeping my voice flat. Her smile faded too fast. Her eyes hardened just for a second. Then she said something I still can't stop hearing. "You're not what I expected." And she walked away. That's when I checked the cameras. The manager's office had 4 dusty monitors, one for each hallway and the parking lot. I wasn't supposed to have access, but Glenn had left the door cracked. I peeked inside and hit rewind. What I saw wasn't blurry or subtle. It was obvious. The man and woman had come in together. They walked side by side toward room 9 around 10:30. The man lingered in the hallway after she went into the room, then wandered toward the vending machine like it was part of the plan. Like they'd done this before. Later, just after I told her no, the back hallway camera glitched. It was only for a few seconds, but when the feed cleared up, someone was trying the staff-only door. Once, twice, then silence. I ran to the laundry room and locked myself inside. I texted Glenn, told him something felt off and someone tried the back door. He was there in 6 minutes. As soon as his headlights pulled into the lot, a dark sedan tore out from behind the building, gravel flying. They were leaving together. Fast. The police came that night. 2 officers. They were calm but concerned. I explained everything. The man's questions, the woman's manipulation, the camera footage. They took it seriously. Apparently, similar reports had come in from motels in 2 other towns along the same highway corridor. A man and a woman targeting night workers, mostly young women, mostly alone. They didn't take wallets or break into rooms. They worked slower, building trust, waiting for the right moment to isolate. "Probably grooming for abduction," one officer said. "You went with her." "Maybe trafficking. Could have been worse if they logged the footage and filed a report. Promised to escalate it." Glenn let me off early. He didn't say much, just handed me my check and said he'd look into better locks. I didn't go back. I spent the next night at a women's shelter an hour east. I didn't want to sleep alone. Not yet. I wasn't afraid of monsters in the closet. I was afraid of the people who smiled too warmly, who said the right things in the right tone and looked just concerned enough. The shelter director let me stay for a few weeks. They had therapy sessions, job resources, women who knew how to listen without judgment. Some of them had stories worse than mine, but almost all of them had a moment where someone said, "You're not what I expected." And almost all of them had once ignored it. Predators don't always look like danger. Sometimes they smile. Sometimes they're polite. Trust your gut, not the words people use. Evil often walks in dressed as concern. Always protect your boundaries even when someone makes you feel like you're being rude for having them. You don't owe strangers comfort, especially not at night, in empty hallways, with doors left unlocked. They say you hit rock bottom and then you bounce back. That's a lie. There's no bounce. There's just gravity and pain and silence. I hit bottom 3 years ago when I got drunk before picking up my daughter from school. I never made it. A flat tire on Central Ave saved her from seeing me like that. Cops found me slumped over the wheel in the school parking lot, the pickup still running, the seat soaked in spilled vodka. Her backpack was in the back seat. I haven't seen her since. Court took away custody. Her mother, Serena, took what little was left of my reputation. And I I took the night shift at Family Dollar. It wasn't much. A small store on the edge of Albuquerque, where the city blurs into dust and wind. I sat in the back office with a bank of flickering monitors, half of them barely working, all of them covered in the ghost of cigarette smoke and time. Still, it was something. The job didn't ask questions, it just asked me to stay awake and watch. I'd been sober 16 months. The craving never really goes away, but I was learning to live with it. Nights were the hardest. Nothing but your thoughts and the hum of dying fluorescent lights to keep you company. That Sunday night in May started like every other. I clocked in just before midnight, ate a stale sandwich in the break room, punched up the cameras, checked the locks. Around 1:30 a.m., I stepped out for a smoke behind the store. The desert wind was up, dry, sharp, with that low whistle you hear just before a dust storm. I didn't mind it. The wind didn't judge. That's when I saw them. 2 cars parked in the back lot, way past the lights. 1 white SUV, 1 silver sedan. The engines were off. I saw 3 men standing around the open trunk of the SUV. One lit a cigarette. Another pulled something heavy from the back. I figured it was a drug deal. We got that kind of thing sometimes. Sketchy business behind the store. Usually harmless, usually fast. But that night was different. One of the men shoved another. Loud voices broke through the wind, angry, urgent. Then, I saw it. A quick jerking motion. One man dropped to the pavement like a marionette with cut strings. The others froze. One looked around. The other ran to the sedan. My heart caught. The cigarette fell from my lips. I turned and sprinted back inside. The radios were dead. My backup had left early, again. I called 911. My voice cracked as I gave the address. I think I just saw a stabbing, maybe a murder. Family Dollar, Central Ave. 2 cars, white SUV, silver sedan. But by the time the words left my mouth, it was already too late. Police showed up fast, lights bouncing off the dusty lot. I met them at the front, waving them through with shaking hands. They didn't find a body, just the white SUV. The trunk was still open, and the inside was a mess. Smears of blood on the lining, a streak along the bumper, like something had been dragged out in a hurry. The silver sedan was gone. I led the officers to the back office, pulled up the camera footage. It was almost useless, grainy, lagging, the angle wrong. The streetlight that usually lit that section of the lot had gone out 2 nights earlier. Nobody had come to fix it. All you could see on the feed were shadows, blurred shapes, a flash of movement. One man lunging, another falling, then nothing. The officer beside me sighed. "You didn't see their faces?" "No," I said. "Too far. Too dark." "You sure the guy didn't just pass out or something?" I looked at him. He didn't fall. He dropped. You don't collapse like that unless something hits deep. He nodded, took notes, but I could tell they didn't have much to go on. They dusted the SUV, found prints, bagged what little evidence they could. A single latex glove, a cigarette butt. One of the officers said it might have been gang-related. Could have been a deal gone sideways. Could have been personal. That was the last I heard from them. For days after, I kept replaying it in my head, over and over. Every detail, every motion, every second. Not the stabbing, the silence. That's what haunted me most. There was no scream, no struggle, just the dry rustle of wind, the sound of a man dying like it didn't matter, like the world didn't notice. I didn't go back the next night. I told my supervisor I needed a day. He gave me one. I took 2. By the time Thursday rolled around, I couldn't make myself put the uniform back on. I stared at it on the chair next to my bed. The patched sleeves, the faded name tag, the polyester collar that always smelled like burnt coffee. I just couldn't. They left me voicemails, said they understood, offered an employee assistance program. I didn't call back. I sat in my apartment in silence for hours. No TV, no music, Just the wind tapping at the windows and the hollow feeling of having seen something you couldn't explain. It wasn't just the crime. It was the helplessness. I'd spent so long trying to fix myself, trying to get my daughter back, trying to prove I wasn't some washed-up loser with a bottle in one hand and excuses in the other. And yet, when something real happened, something dangerous, I couldn't stop it. I couldn't do anything but run. That broke something in me. Again. I left Albuquerque by the end of the month. Found a small place 2 towns over, just outside Los Lunas. Rented a room above a dusty motel off Route 6. The manager was a guy named Darren who didn't ask questions. Just gave me a mop and told me the lobby floors needed cleaning by sunrise. That suited me fine. No cameras, no overnight shift, no reminders. Sometimes I think about that man in the parking lot, who he was, why it happened, whether someone misses him, or if he was already the kind of person the world forgot. I'll never know, and maybe I don't want to. I kept the police card tucked inside my wallet for a while. Officer Ramirez, just in case they ever called me back. They didn't. The case probably disappeared into a file box somewhere. Just another late-night mystery behind a dollar store where people don't look up when they park. And me? I clean floors now. Watch the sky change colors over the desert. Go to AA meetings on Tuesday nights. Say my daughter's name when no one is around. I've been sober a year and 9 months now. It's a quiet kind of victory. Nobody claps for it. Nobody cares except the people who've had to claw their way back from the same kind of darkness. Some nights I still see the trunk, still hear the wind, still watch that man fall over and over, my mind pausing just before the impact. Not because I want to, but because I was there. Because silence has weight. People talk about trauma like it's an explosion. But sometimes, it's a whisper. A thing you almost miss that slips into your bones and changes how you hear the world. I don't miss the job. I don't miss Albuquerque. But I miss the part of me that thought I could start over without scars. That part's gone now. But I still have my sobriety. I still have mornings. And sometimes, that has to be enough. Evil doesn't always shout. Sometimes it comes quiet, unnoticed, just beyond the reach of light. And the real test isn't what you see, it's what you do with it. Witnessing something awful can break you, but it can also wake you up to the world around you. Sometimes the smallest choices, staying sober, staying alive, showing up again, are the bravest ones of all. I didn't set out to become the kind of man who kept secrets for decades, but some stories bury themselves so deep that speaking them aloud feels like ripping open a wound that never healed. My name is Kellen Price, and I spent over 30 years with the Texas Rangers. I've seen carnage, betrayal, twisted minds. I've hunted the worst among us. Still, nothing kept me awake at night like the case of the Talbots at Willow Lake Motel, a case I never spoke of publicly, until now. Willow Lake Motel sat off a dusty stretch of Highway 82 outside Lubbock. The cabins leaned like wooden tombstones under the relentless Texas sun. Run down, weather-beaten, but somehow welcoming if you ignored the missing person flyers tacked to the local grocery store bulletin board. I was transferred to Cochran County in early '93 as bank robberies were trending westward and escapees were using remote motels as hideouts. That's how Willow Lake came on my radar. In small towns, you'll find almost nothing happens without someone knowing it. But I found something unusual. Fleeting sightings of fugitives at Willow Lake, followed by silent departures. A man checked in and 3 nights later vanished without a trace. One by one, the missing were dismissed as transient, solitary types nobody missed. But I couldn't shake the notion something deeper was unfolding under those creaking roof boards. I still remember the first time I introduced myself to Reed Talbot. He was a graying man with gentle blue eyes that belied the hardness around them. His wife, Norma, wore a faded floral dress and greeted me with a warm offer of coffee. Their hospitality felt disarming. They spoke in kind tones and their property looked like any rundown but lived-in establishment. Yet behind Reed's chuckle and Norma's smile, I felt a flicker of something cold. Call it intuition, call it ranger's instinct. That backstory, the petty twists, the miles of surveillance tape, the tipping points, laid the groundwork for the sting I'd set in motion. I want you to understand, this isn't a horror story or a sensational piece of true crime fluff. It's a quiet horror. How easy it is for evil to disguise itself with hospitality and normal clothes. The silence around those lost souls, unclaimed and unmissed, is what still stings. So let me take you back to where it all began, on that late summer afternoon when I drove in under the setting sun and realized I was staring down something nobody believed could exist in plain sight. It was just past 4:45 p.m. when I pulled onto the gravel drive of Willow Lake Motel. The sign's peeling paint announced vacancy, though only 2 cabins showed signs of life. I parked the Ranger cruiser by the office and watched Norma Talbot wave from her porch. She nodded politely, but her grip on the coffee mug never wavered. Her eyes held a glint, charm wrapped around something unreadable. I introduced myself formally. Norma stood, dust rising off the planks of her porch. She led me inside their yellowed office, small and cluttered with rotting brochures and outdated bank rate posters. Reed hovered by the doorway. He had an easy manner, like a man who believed charm would carry him through everything. But maybe charm was all he had left. "We always keep a clean business," Reed told me, voice smooth. "Leave. No trouble." Guests come, sleep, and I nodded. People go missing around here. Drifters, looks like. I'm just asking questions. Norma didn't flinch. "We don't keep logs," she said, almost casually, during a storm last week. Paper flew into the lake. I noted their evasiveness. Something didn't smell right. But as I drove away down that solitary road, the air still hot and humming with cicadas, I realized it was going to take more than intuition to prove them wrong. I needed evidence, and that meant going deeper than polite but hesitant motel owners. That night, sealed behind motel walls, Reed and Norma exchanged a glance. She brushed her hair back, a practiced motion. He reached across the table and touched her hand. Lightning trapped in a thundercloud. Right then, I knew. Those missing folks weren't victims of bad luck. Mark Williamson was 32, wiry, unremarkable. He had a crooked smile, and he smelled like stale cigarettes washed with sweat. Perfect for the part. I brought him into the Ranger office with a briefcase labeled Pennsylvania Bureau. Duffel bag, a few clothes, empty wallet. He played the part, a runaway drifting off-grid. He checked into cabin 6 under the name Mark Hill. Norma greeted him like a long-lost son, hot stew already simmering, iced tea waiting. I watched from my cruiser across the dirt lane. Reed helped carry a bowl out, smiling warmly at their newest guest. Purple twilight melted along the roofline. Mark radioed in after 2 days. "It's cozy, boss. They're nice, too nice." I advised caution. The silence after his voice crackled out said more than the words. On night 3, an hour before midnight, the radio cracked. "They're not sheltering criminals, they're collecting them." And then silence. My blood went cold. Within 10 minutes, several rangers and deputies converged on Willow Lake. Spotlights sliced the darkness. Lights strobed red and blue. Norma answered the door, face pinched in tension but still calm. Reed remained silent, paint peeling between angry lines. The search began. Cabin 6 was locked, windows shuttered. We changed the locks, kicked in the door. Mark lay on the floor, head wrapped in a dingy towel, wide-eyed but breathing, weak but alive. And then we followed Reed's path, the maintenance shed behind the cabins, rusting hinges, a thin layer of dust, as though not used in years. The door creaked open to a dim flight of wooden steps. I followed with Mark and 2 rangers behind me. Below, the air was musty and cold against our necks, an underground chamber, real as a grave. By the light of our flashlights, 4 decomposed bodies, skeletal and bloated, each lying like a message. Norma's handwriting scrawled in red ink on plywood pinned above them. Names, dates, reasons. One said armed robbery 6/12/92, another burglary 9/8/92. Beneath each a crude star, beneath all chillingly, verdict, guilty. I turned. Reed stood at the threshold. His face was pale. He swallowed, his Adam's apple jerking. Behind him, legal copies of newspaper clippings detailed crimes, unsigned verdicts. "You understand," he said softly. "We judged them." His voice was steady. Norma joined him. Her eyes were hollow, free to hurt more. "The system failed them," she whispered. "Left them. But justice isn't ours to take," I thought, crawling over the bodies. Sirens pulsed above. I looked at Reed and Norma, whose minds had twisted hospitality into murder. Mark cried quietly in the background, trauma sharpening every breath. We arrested the Talbots on the spot. Norma confessed first, voice calm. "Reed's idea," she said. He denied it. Reed said she had started it. Norma said she was following his lead. They drowned in blame. I sat across from Reed in a dusty interrogation room under fluorescent lights. I pulled down a photo of the motel shed. "Your plan depended on killing those nobody would miss," I said. Reed's gaze flickered. "They were criminals," he said. Remorse. It was conviction. Drifters. That spot. They're gone anyway. His conviction wasn't flash forward. Both went to prison. Norma died of a heart attack 2 years in. Reed lasted another 3 before a beating behind bars finished the sentence. Nobody claimed their victims. No bereaved families. Just 4 nameless bodies and a cabin full of horror. I left the Ranger Corps with a hollow feeling. I couldn't stand quiet mornings without the buzz of what's next. I still wake at 2 a.m., feel sweat on my face, see that trapdoor. I know now how evil wears normal faces. Each year, I drive past the old motel. It burned down in '98, arson blamed, probably locals who hated the scandal. The land is fenced off, overgrown. No sign, no memorial. I still picture those victims. 4 lost souls. Nobody arrested for them. Nobody apologized. And I remember the silence. That quiet willing to let things happen. To think, no one will miss them. The silence that lets evil grow. Evil can wear a friendly face. Hospitality isn't a shield, and friendliness isn't proof of goodness. When society overlooks the forgotten, drifters, the transient, the unseen, it creates a vacuum where silent horrors can flourish. The moral of this story: it's our responsibility to honor the dignity of every life, defend the unheard, and never let silence hide injustice. Because once you choose silence, you risk becoming complicit in whatever grows within it.